Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for January 2023. So on January 26th, we have our last astro event taking place for the month, and that would be Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money. Definitely on the move again. Now, earlier in January, we've seen Venus jump out of that Capricorn energy, jumping into the Aquarian energy. Well, now she's on the move again, and she is moving into Pisces energy, the very last sign of the zodiac wheel. So Venus does very well in Pisces energy. We have to consider the fact that Neptune, that rules over Pisces energy, is the higher octave of Venus. And Venus, who connects us to our egoic realm, where worth and values and relationships and money and long-term goals are concerned, we are receiving a higher form of intelligence, a higher inspiration from our higher selves that Neptune connects us to. So we have to expect that Venus is going to do very well here. But with every sign, with every placement, there are pros and cons. First of all, we have to understand that we're moving out of this Aquarian energy that had us very emotionally detached, putting us in a position to kind of act as the observer, see ourselves, our relationships, what matters to us, our happiness, our joy, our pleasure, from the observer type of perspective instead of being emotionally immersed in the situation. Now, in this Aquarian energy, there was a little bit of an inner conflict because, of course, Venus being very connected to relationships, connected to her feelings. She wants that commitment. She wants that level of intimacy, where the Aquarian energy would prefer a little bit of space, a little bit of independence. We needed to see our lives from the bird's eye view without being emotionally overwhelmed, to kind of see where it is that things need to change, where boundaries need to change. And of course, in that Aquarian energy, we were definitely thinking outside of the box and maybe even experimenting with the distance, with the space, with the connection of our personal relationships. Keep in mind, we just jumped timelines. This is going to have a huge impact on our relationships because those that are not growing with us are going away from us. So now in this Pisces energy, we have to bring some things full circle. Pisces energy is a water sign, so we're very intuitive, highly emotional. It is represented by the two fish, one going one way, the other going the other, which essentially is kind of divvying up what needs to stay, what needs to go. Now, in Pisces energy, we are soft, we are sensitive, which is both a pro and con. The pro to that is that we're very in touch with our intuition, our emotions, the sentimental value of the things that are important to us. And of course, the con is that we might be overwhelmed to the point where we don't know what to do with ourselves, where we don't really want to deal with the harshness or the truth of our reality, and where we tend to kind of live in a daydream. We have to walk the middle line. And in this Pisces energy, we don't ever really seem to look at things in black or white. We tend to kind of get stuck in that gray area of the two fishes, one going one way, the other one going the other. We have to kind of see all of the different aspects of the situation. And of course, our first take on it is our emotions, and then intuitively speaking, we align with our higher self, that Neptune energy, and we kind of gain an insight, an inspiration, an aha moment, a dream, a vision, and then we drop it into our physical bodies that Venus rules over, and then we try to figure out what is important for us to pursue, what is it that we feel kind of aligned with or called out to pursue, and what is actually important to us. So yes, Venus being the goddess of love and beauty and happiness and joy, we are in love with love in this Pisces energy. And it's all consuming at times, which can be a good thing and can be a bad thing. We are more empathetic. We have a lot more compassion in this Pisces energy. So in particular relationship dynamics, if there is an element of needing to reconcile, we are going to be able to tap into a different perspective to forgive and maybe not forget, but to at least forgive and understand the other person's perspective. Again, being able to kind of put ourselves in other people's shoes is a great thing to do in this Pisces energy so that we can see things from a different perspective. Now, being in love with love means that we are kind of feeling ourselves. ourselves. And because we're feeling ourselves, we want, other people to kind of feel ourselves as well. It can be a very seductive, sexual type of energy. We are definitely looking for connection, for connectedness, for intimacy, but we can also put ourselves in situations to attract the wrong kind of attention. And, we are very super sensitive. We are very affectionate, but it almost comes from a place of not wanting to be alone. And this is the problem. Yes, we can be in love with love, but sometimes the love that is in existence in our realm isn't the kind of love that we want to be in love with. And therefore, we open up, we become highly sensitive, highly, I'm going to say, over emotional and over affectionate. And then we're a little bit disappointed because that love, that attention, that affection isn't enough. It doesn't feel good enough. It doesn't feel like what we dreamed of or what we imagined. And therefore, it makes us a little bit lonely. It actually puts us in a situation where we feel disconnected because we're longing for something that isn't really real. And it can be hard to satisfy our wants, needs, and desires in this particular energy. The tough part about it is coming out of the Aquarian energy where we had to be focused on boundaries, the boundaries that we need to have in our lives to make sure that the relationship dynamic always continues to be fair and balanced. In Pisces energy, there are no boundaries. The boundaries are so non-existent, they're blurry as F, and this can become a problem because we don't know where we end and other people begin. Again, it can become very overwhelming, all-consuming of trying to find this deep-seated connection and intimacy that many of us yearn for at one point or another, that can put us in a very vulnerable, naive type of situation. And, there's always the pros and cons, especially in these particular signs where we are supposed to be learning the balance point, the middle point in the extremes, especially of the two fish. And the shadow realm is that we're highly naive. We are putting the rose-colored glasses on. We don't want to think that people can lie to us, can betray us. We are very deceivable at this particular energy because we want to believe in what we want to believe in. We all want to believe that love is here, that, people are good, and that the world is, I'm going to say, more alignment with happiness and the good part instead of the sadness, the grief, and the bad part. But we kind of dream a little bit too much of a dream, if that makes sense. We're too aligned with fantasy. We're too in La La Land. We lack a little bit of that realistic bitch slap of reality that we need in order to stay awake and stay aware. And although we're overwhelmingly sensitive and we want to believe that there's, the best side of people and the best side of this humanity, this collective coming to the forefront, we can set ourselves up for disappointment. And let me just tell you that there is a lot of darkness that comes out of this Pisces energy because it does represent the unconscious collective. So we have to watch out for falling in love with delusion or illusion. We have to really be aware of the fact that deception is at an all-time high. We have to understand that, maybe we've lost ourselves in a fantasy or in a dreamland that is constantly going to make us feel disappointed with the reality of what is. Maybe we need to pay attention to the fact that we are overcompensating for the hole, for the void left within us, for, the previous pain and trauma from our upbringing, from relationships. Maybe we're overcompensating for that. Maybe we just want somebody to heal us, and therefore we put ourselves in situations with the wrong kind of people, craving the wrong kind of attention in order to actually feel seen, to feel heard, to feel worthy. So we have to watch out for not going to one extreme over the other. Now, Pisces energy is the escape artist of the zodiac. What I mean by that is we have a tendency to check out of reality altogether, to disassociate from our realism, and to live in La La Land, creating and conjuring up a fantasy that will never truly be fulfilled in this physical realm. And because of that, we can avoid confrontation. We can avoid the not so nice parts in life that many of us don't want to experience, but that's part of life. We can kind of want to curl up in a ball and not want to deal with anything that isn't light and fluffy and isn't, happy-go-lucky. We have a tendency to want to run and hide. Now, again, keep in mind that Venus is, I'm not going to say in her place of power in Pisces, but this is the next best thing. And therefore, the compassion comes out, the empathy comes out, the emotion comes out. We're solely devoted to who it is that we've already deemed to be worthy of our time, energy, love, and attention. We are focused on sacrifice. We have to connect the fact that the fishes are quote unquote connected to Jesus. I say quote unquote because that's a whole storyline that I'm not about to get into in this particular rant. But sacrifice is a big thing in this Pisces energy, and we may find ourselves over sacrificing what it is that we want, need, and desire just to be accepted or in alignment with those that we want love from. And, our intuition is very strong in Pisces energy, but if our intuition is telling us to be a little bit more realistic and that, the dream that we're conjuring up or the person standing in front of us is too good to be true, we tend to want to shut that intuition down to live in a situational la-la land where we explore, that the realm of that person or that experience, and we could find ourselves burned because of that. We want to rely on our intuition, but we're very easy to turn our heads away from it if it's telling us something that we would rather not want to hear. And because Venus is very connected to both, love and money, we have to pay attention to what our intuition is telling us about the relationships and the people in our lives and how we actually feel in it, and our money matters. Now, this is a great time for creation. Music, art, poetry, anything that brings a sense of beauty to our realms. But at the same time, we can kind of get too focused on the beautification of our environment or ourselves, and therefore kind of lose the focus of the inspiration, the ideas that we are supposed to kind of be sitting on. Again, this isn't the greatest time for action. That time is coming. We're supposed to be percolating on our ideas, our inspirations, our aha moments, not actually bringing them to life. So, this is a prime time for us to be introverted and sit in our inner realms. And like I said, if you're a writer or creator, you likely will have a high level of creativity and inspiration coming in, but sit with that, percolate on that. Don't feel the push or the shove to try and act upon that and bring it to life in a rushed type of situation and scenario, because it will fall apart. It will not even slightly resemble the kind of beauty in which you have kind of seen it the first time around in your inner world. Now, be very cautiously aware about your money matters. We have a tendency to kind of turn a blind eye to our money matters as well, to the practical, fundamental elements of our here and now, because again, we're living in some kind of fantasy world. But we do have the ability to kind of bump up our worth, our value, our skill set, our talents, especially when we are aligning with, inspirations coming into the higher mind. We have the potential to expand on that and to flip that into something that will help our resources, our income over the next coming months, with a new calling, a new project, a new mission, a new goal, a new dream, a new vision that we want to actually pursue. But again, don't push it. This isn't the time for pushing. This is a fluid type of energy. We're in water. We have to go with the flow. So what we have to kind of understand is that there are some strong qualities and characteristics that we can tap into with these Pisces energy, but determination, resolve, staying the course, actually seeing something come into fruition, not our strongest suit right now. Again, we have to kind of just focus on the fact to stay in the realm of where our powers are, and our powers right now are focusing in on new ideas, new inspiration, new insights, and being very real about the imaginary land that we've actually created. So there is a little bit of give and take, of course. That's what we do with the two fishes. There's give and take. There's ego and higher self. There's inner realm, outer realm. There is moving forward, looking back. There is an undoing that takes place in Pisces energy. And with the goddess of love, beauty, and worth in this particular realm of existence for the next couple of weeks, we really want to pay attention to taking stock, taking inventory on what needs to stay and what needs to go, because spoiler alert, her next move is into Aries energy. That's essentially where she gets a spark, a fire, a flame reignited within her again, when she's gifted with the aggressiveness, the assertiveness to actually identify what it is that she wants, needs, and desires. And she's gifted with the green light go ahead to actually go ahead and take action to pursue some of the things that now have her inner realm very excitable, very passionate, and very much on a mission to pursue this new level of happiness. So this is kind of the, I'm going to say, calm before the storm, storm being a initiation period of bringing to life a brand new chapter. And we have to do the work, the inner realm work, to balance out our reality with our imaginary land, our wants, needs, and desires with what is actually logical, practical, and achievable. And we have to kind of take stock on who and what brings happiness and joy and safety and security to our lives, and kind of get rid of the elements that are hindering us from actually acquiring what it is that our heart desires to be true.